Franz von Kernei. These collected writings are republished in the memory of the author, Frank Schmidt, so that others may continue to enjoy his work. Foreword. I find myself living in a region of the world where the majority of people are monolingual and find themselves dependent on a sole source of information. That is, a media that manages the news instead of reporting it. Events are presented to small or larger degrees to reflect favorably on some groups while discrediting others. Virtues such as truth or balance don't seem to matter much anymore, and the omission of facts has become the accepted norm. So it is that a few are exposed to points of view other than those dictated by a few of our media groups. So much so that people tend to believe only what they hear on the radio, read in papers, or see on television. And they find it hard to believe that anything that's not ordained by the mass media, such as the expulsion of a German ethnic group as the result of the Second World War, even happened. The atrocity which struck the Danube Swabians in southeastern Europe is one that has been covered up for over half a century. The free and liberal media, in which we have entrusted to be the arbiters of truth, have turned a cheek. This is a capsule history of an upright, industrious, albeit ill-fated people who bear no animosity toward anyone, including their former tormentors. They are law-abiding citizens everywhere they've settled, and their only wish is to live in peace and enjoy the fruits of their labor, which they so richly deserve, and that which was denied to them in their former homelands. Frank Schmidt, aka Franz von Kernei. An introduction to the Donauschwaben. Without a country to call their own, the Donauschwaben have an identity problem. The Donauschwaben, anglicized Danube Swabians, have come into existence in the 17th and 18th century when German pioneers settled in Habsburg Hungary. German troops commanded by Prince Eugene of Savoy, a Frenchman in the service of the Austro-Hungarian dual monarchy in command of German troops, had recovered land from 150 years of Turkish misrule, all which occurred decades before the United States of America fought for independence, or the English took Canada from the French. It was also some 200 years before Romania or Yugoslavia existed, and several hundred years of peace and prosperity had followed. In the aftermath of the Second World War, the Donauschwaben were divided, stripped of their possessions, and expelled from their homelands. And despite the fact that they hadn't existed within the boundaries of Germany for hundreds of years, anti-German sentiment following the Second World War led to the persecution of the Donauschwaben. Because of their ethnicity alone, 1,600,000 innocent souls were forcibly deported from their native soil. Those who remained or were unable to escape were massacred. In communist Yugoslavia, these peaceful pioneers became victims of Tito's state-sponsored genocide. They were deported from Hungary and dispossessed in Romania, and survivors were eventually sold to Germany. The enormity of the crime against humanity permanently altered the demographic makeup of Europe. The Donauschwaben were divided, expelled from their homelands, stripped of their possessions, and murdered en masse. All of these crimes were committed outside of wartime and at the hands of the communist partisans, and within the knowledge of the Allied victors. These descendants are now scattered around the world in Germany, Austria, the United States of America, Canada, Brazil, Argentina, Australia, and others.